Present day. Present time.
Hi guys, welcome back, and today we are just gonna jump right into it. I recently been watching a lot of YouTubers and I stumbled upon Sabrina. Check her out. She is so cute. And in one of the videos I watched, she talks about her being a cast member at Disneyland, and she talks about a documentary I've never heard of. Homeless, The Motel Kids of Orange County, directed by Alexandria Pelosi, is an HBO documentary that follows children and families living in motels while living in the wealthiest county in America, Orange County. Now, I decided to watch this because you read the title. I was an OC kid. I grew up in OC, and while I wasn't living like the wealthy life, I definitely wasn't struggling with like having a roof over my head or getting food on the table. So I was pretty middle class. I grew up pretty privileged, and I am not going to deny it. Thank you, mom and dad, for that. But growing up in Orange County, I grew up around kids that lived in gated neighborhoods and drove BMWs to school every day. But I also grew up with kids that lived with a family of five in small apartments and taking the OC bus as their main transportation. Anyways, growing up, once in a while I would go to Disneyland, which is in Anaheim, California, which wasn't too far from where I lived, like a 20 or more minute drive. But growing up, I noticed that the closer you got to LA, the less glamorous it was. It wasn't that it was bad or really gross, it just wasn't like glamorous like Irvine or Ladera Ranch, you know what I mean? But besides that, going into the documentary, I will only be discussing about each family, child, scene, etc. in one segment rather than doing it in the timeline of the documentary. And unfortunately, I won't be able to use any clips because there's not many clips I can use that aren't copyrighted. I can use pictures and like trailer clips, but that's it. I will only be talking about information from the documentary and not outside resources. So some things I will say I will not bring up like the background or where they are now, etc., you know. So let's talk about one of the main settings in this documentary. The Motor Inn Motel is where most of the kids in the documentary live. While the motel is near Disneyland, it's not as glamorous as Disneyland. There are many signs prohibiting prostitution, drug dealings, etc. Even with those signs, there's still a lot of violence, mostly domestic abuse from what we've seen in the documentary. And cops are usually regularly called to the motor inn. While crime is pretty prevalent here, kids still play outside, especially in the parking lot, because most of the playgrounds around are invested with gang members, taggers, etc. And it's like even gross living there. Like there's a bed bug problem, and like they don't really do much about it. They just let the mattress sit out. Brenda and Megan, both 11 years old, talked to an interviewer about it, and they're constantly itching due to the bed bugs in their mattresses. Usually, a family's convicted once a week, and when they are, anything that's left in the motel room gets thrown away, and so kids and some adults dumpster dive for some stuff. Josh, a 6-year-old, which we will talk about later with his family, finds a toy gun without an orange tip. Now, if you don't know anything, basically any fake gun has to have an orange tip to indicate that it's a fake gun. So basically, his friends and family are telling him, hey, put that back because you could get shot by a cop or stranger. How fun! During the documentary, you hear many adults screaming and cussing, you hear sirens in the background, dogs barking, while the children are playing outside. So, yeah, it's not a safe place for anyone physically or mentally. But hey, you get to see fireworks at Disneyland. Our next main setting is Project Hope School, which is a public K through 8 with 67 students and 3 classrooms. It's open year round and it helps keep homeless kids in school, and it helps when families like have to move from one motel or street to another so they don't have to keep changing schools and districts. All the kids in the documentary do attend the school, and that's what they all relate with, and also that they're all homeless. And so the school kids are not as judgy about like, kids wearing the same clothes every day because they're all kind of in the same situation. They're all picked up in the morning by the school van and dropped off at 5 p.m. every day. Breakfast and lunch is provided for the kids, and at the end of the week, they bring home a backpack full of food for their families. You see only in the documentary that they're taught about America and they're taught about like drugs and such. Miss Judy, one of the teachers, says that sometimes she feels like she is wasting her time, but she cannot give up on kids because while some might end up pregnant or in jail early in life, some are going to be very successful. So now that we have the two main settings set up, let's start talking about the kids. So we first meet Rudy, age 6. She lives with her mom, dad, and sister at the Motor Inn. Before she was living on the streets and sleeping in bushes. Her dad's a self-employed mechanic with certificates, and they all sleep on the same bed except her sister that sleeps on the floor. They use the bathtub as a washer and usually do the laundry outside. And the interviewer does ask the mom why stay in the situation. The mom just talks about how expensive rent is in Orange County. Back in 2010, rent was around 13 to 1500 for a studio room. Now it's like 2K or more. And if you're not from California, yeah, that's really expensive. But in the motel, it's a little bit over 800 a month, so it's way cheaper. And the interviewer asked, why not move out? And the mother says that they've lived here their whole life. Her family's middle class and they all own houses, and it'd be hard to leave your hometown, which I can relate. I grew up in Orange County. It's hard to leave. Mother doesn't believe the child is sad though, because inside the motel room, she does think it's a family environment. She talks about how, her and Rudy's dad don't do drugs, drink, or anything like that because they want to set an example. And she says, and I quote, even though we are in the ghetto, we don't have to act like we're in the ghetto. Later in the documentary, Rudy does call her dad at school, saying that she has a stomach ache and she's not feeling good. She wants to go home. She asks if he has gas, and unfortunately, he does not, and the mom doesn't have a car. So she just has to wait at school until she gets dropped off with no nurse on site. She's seen crying on the phone because obviously she's in a lot of pain with a stomach ache and she has to wait that long to even get to the motel. The next family we meet is the Hayes family. It consists of Dylan, age 9, Deanna, age 7, and their little brother and their dad. That's the only people they mention, but I'm guessing that's what it is. Their mom passed away, so they got kicked out from their home and they lived with a friend, but then got kicked out again. Deanna loves her tap shoes, but the Wicked Witch upstairs doesn't enjoy the noise, and they're afraid that like if they keep making too much noise, they'll get kicked out and evicted. Which I find it funny how they call her the Wicked Witch because she's mean and old. Dylan and his siblings show the interviewer a secret spot behind the motel, and the interviewer asks what they want to be when they grow up. Dylan wants to be a basketball player, Deanna wants to be a cheerleader, and the baby brother wants to be a football player, according to Dylan, but then Deanna's like, no, he wants to be Spider-Man. It's kind of funny. When the interviewer asks what's Dylan's wish, he just says to redo his life, which is kind of sad to hear. Next family. I'm not sure how to pronounce this. I think it's Oscan, so I'm going to say the Oscan family. The Oscan family is a family of 6. The parents share a bed with the baby brother, and the brothers sleep on the top bunk while the oldest sister sleeps on the bottom bunk. Their mother is pretty strict about school and wants them to graduate and such, like go to college. She works overnight shifts and makes over minimum wage at the hospital as a CNA. The father lost his job at Target. Celine, age 11, the daughter, does all the chores around the house. Ben, age 7, wishes for a house over the summer when the interviewer asks him about it. Later in the documentary, the brothers announce that they'll be living in a house to the interviewer, but later they say they're not 100% sure because of family problems. Next family, and this one I kind of like because they have dogs. The Brewsters are a family of 5 with 4 dogs. They have 2 beds. Allie sleeping with the dogs and Josh that we talked about earlier, while the mother and the oldest daughter, Andrea, age 21, sleeps on the other bed. Zach, age 11, sleeps on his own cot on the floor. They all complain that there's no privacy except the bathroom, but the bathroom's filled with their clothes. The widowed 42-year-old mom works at Disneyland in the parking department. It doesn't make enough money for an apartment, so she's looking for a second job, while Andrea works at McDonald's. Zach has a probation officer due to burglary charges because there's nothing to do because of parks being infected by gangs. The brothers sometimes go to the Disneyland parking structure and watch the fireworks, which is honestly a really cute scene. We find out later that the family gets evicted due to allegations of Zach damaging a motel property. Next up, we have Gabriel. He is 6 years old, living with a family of 4. I'm not 100% sure. It just follows him, not really his family. Their mother's boyfriend that lives with them died due to getting in a fight, according to Gabriel and his older sister. When asked what he wants a mansion with 1,000 dogs and all the guns in the world. It's kind of funny because his sister kind of like says that's bull, and they have a little tickle fight. It's cute. It's cute. He's adorable. He's a little bit of a punk. Cassidy is 8 years old and wants to be a cheerleader, even showing some moves in the documentary Go Girl. When asked if she's a happy or sad kid, she says she's a sad kid because she has more sad days than happy days. She has slept in parks and other people's houses, and her mom shaved her head due to her getting lice. So that's all we really know much about her. Kiara is 9 years old and she's scared of people at the motor inn because she thinks it will do bad things to her. Her and her mother share one room with another lady and her baby, Ebony, which I think is a pretty name. I don't know why I like it. She wants to be a baby doctor, and her mom gets emotional talking about her. She believes Kira will get very far and, that she's a wonderful child. And Kira motivates her mother to keep going. Now we know everyone. Okay. I'm going to now discuss some things and the ending and my thoughts. The interviewer asked him if God knows they are homeless. Cassidy says yes, but doesn't know why. But Jennifer, age 8, says that he knows that they're homeless and that he's only providing them the essentials rather than wants. Even though they don't have a house, they have food. The interviewer asks again to all the kids if they are excited for life or looking forward to it, and no one says yes. Everyone just says, I don't know or no. So, in the last scene, Project Hope takes a field trip to Newport Beach.
So I lied. um, I don't think it's Newport Beach. I think it's Laguna. I don't know, but honestly, it doesn't matter. My point still stands. Literally every beach in Southern California is stupid expensive to live at, but it's still very pretty. So my point still stands, but I don't think it's Newport. I think it's like Laguna, but I obviously can't show clips because most of them are copyrighted. So
Probably one of the wealthiest beaches in California, if not Orange County. Like literally, like it's a really nice beach. I like it. It shows the kids having fun, and Miss Judy says that it's nice seeing kids be kids for once. The camera pans to the really nice houses on the hill. If you've ever been to Newport Beach, you definitely have seen these houses. Um, and the last scene shows one of the childs, I think Rudy, looking at a party bow from the distance, which that would have been a good ending, but then they ended with this. Due to the budget crisis in California, Project Hope had to make cuts, and the school lost two teachers, basically hinting that the school is shutting down soon. I'm sorry, I hated that. Even when I showed my mom, she's like, it could have literally ended with the girl watching the boat. That was really a good scene. Obviously, when I first watched this, it kind of hurt a lot, especially with the news, but I don't know, it was very abrupt. I was around the same age as some of these kids, and it's crazy to think that like I lived at most 30 minutes away from them and we had such different lives. And I know the homeless situation is huge in California, especially LA, but no one ever talks about it in OC. Like, also, side tangent, I hate how people call it a homeless problem because half of the homeless people don't choose to be homeless. They're children, dogs, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Can dogs be homeless? I don't know. A problem I do have is the way the interviewer's tone is so degrading and such, and she kind of brings up the children's drama, makes them like address it again. I understand in a documentary you kind of have to do that, but like they're children. You don't have to do that. It's especially sad when like a kid's crying and they shove a camera right in their face. Like the kid's literally not feeling good. Like you could step back a little bit. But I hope the documentary helped some kids out, especially with them expressing their feelings and such. That probably was really nice. But regardless of that, I think it's a very emotional and insightful watch. And honestly, if you enjoy that movie, Florida Project, you'll probably enjoy this too, especially if you're from the area. It's interesting to watch. I'm gonna put some links in the description to help the homeless situation because honestly, I'm making a video on this, and if I ever make profit off of it, I feel like it's wrong for me to take all that money when I'm expressing someone's situation. Thank you again for watching. Yes, this is my new background. It's much easier to just record on my desk. And I hope you guys liked my beginning intro. I worked on it for 10 minutes. I had no motivation to record for a bit, but now that I actually did it, it's nice. I'm not sure what my next video will be, so definitely comment down. I have some ideas, but like, definitely comment down ideas. And I want to know if you lived in Orange County or even like Southern California, comment down how your life was like. Like, did you relate to these kids? Were you middle class like me, or were you like the wealthy kids driving BMWs and Teslas to school? I hope you all have a splendid day, afternoon, or night, and I'll see you all whenever. Bye!